Good morning, one and all present here. Again, everybody, welcome to this August call. So here, we are in the third day of this family development program. For the third day, we have a guest, a distinguished guest, Professor Dr. Ratnakar Das, the Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, NIT Rourkela. He's a great man, published over 50 research papers in the international and national journals of repute. He has also guided over 11 PhD scholars to their doctoral success and has more than 10 more scholars working under him. He has executed projects on early detection of breast cancer using deep learning techniques funded by the Department of Health, Government of India. He is a great learner, professor, motivator, and a scientist. Please welcome him with a big round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. And I feel this workshop is for motivating the young researchers and also researchers who is working towards showcase their talents to the outside world. So this research methodology should finally end with the knowledge, gaining knowledge how to write papers, how to start doing research, and what happens when we feel some frustration during sometimes doing research. Because see, as I feel, the research should not be done compulsory. Okay? It should be done on interest, enthusiasm, and somebody who has a passion, he should do research. But somehow this was happening previously. Now what happens in the today's scenario, if we are in this particularly teaching profession, the research is mandatory for all of us. Okay, even we sometimes previously big institutes like IITs, NITs, people were not doing much research. They were doing, but only a very few percentage of people who were working in that domain was interested for research and then produced good results. But nowadays, the mandate is that everybody who joins in this particular profession, the teaching as well as also in the industry, this research part is compulsory. We need to do some kind of research to produce an outcome, and in some cases, we have to show outcome on a guaranteed basis, like on a targeted basis. For a particular target, we need to do something, otherwise it will be a sustainable issue. So, this was the outline for the particular workshop. So, today I will be focusing on if we are doing research, how to make its outcome known to the outside world through publications, through patents, through research papers. Okay, so anybody who wishes to write an article for publication, he can initially may not be in a good position to write papers, but after some time, after a lot of practice or after some experience, I'm sure that he can do something better, and it's a sequential process, and iteratively he can start learning how to do research, how to write papers, then he can publish a good journal and papers. So we'll be focusing on how to start writing papers if we are doing a research, and at all it's a practical. We'll see practically how we can achieve by writing that article using a latex, which is a very good software or tool to make our presentation much better than the other tools available. And it's easy to learn. And in the nowadays we are getting very easy online free access. So where most of the things are already inbuilt inside the tool, and using the help of ChatGPT and other AI tools, it is very easy for us to code it. So let us focus on that. So this topic has been divided into 4 modules. We'll try to understand. So how the scientific writing workflow goes on. So with module 1, before writing, there is pre-writing and how to conceptualize the idea. Okay, followed by the actual structure of the paper. So that is most commonly we follow IM Okay, so followed by how to execute this and what are the different styles used. Then will various small case study will be given here. Followed by there are different publication scenarios in which we can try to publish our idea and review the publication. So module 1. So the foundation of writing, okay. So as you know, science is collaborative. So the paper is nothing but a formal conversation with researchers across the group. When you write a paper, your idea in a paper format, and we choose a publication platform where it will be published, and this publication will be accessible to other researchers outside the world. So it's a formal conversation between the different scientists inside across the globe. Then it's a tool for thinking. So writing doesn't merely record existing thought. It forces clarity, exposes assumptions, refines logic. So whenever you assume something and think something, we need to use this writing as a tool, okay, to convey our thoughts. And whatever we assume, this exposes to our assumptions are exposed to the outside world. Okay? And by doing so, we also can refine the logic. But simply saying something with some assumption is not good enough. When you try to outline it using a paper, so there must be some logic behind it. We need to give some logic of the assumptions. So this logic, to make your ideas or assumptions very clear, you need to think of some logic. High quality science published poorly is effectively lost to humanity. Like sometimes what happens, your thought may be great, but while publishing it, if it is not published properly, okay, or not written properly, an idea is not clearly cited in the paper, so this is like we are losing something. Okay, so clear writing is as crucial as underlying research. Sometimes what happens, students or research scholars, they may be good at programming and then other tools in their respective fields, but however while writing, because of poor English, okay, so that is very common among us, okay. From the beginning, if you are not learning English properly, or writing, even if you do a good research, you can get a good outcome of your research work, but you may not be able to properly present it in the paper. So if you don't do that, so that may not make your publication strong, and sometimes many of the times it is rejected by the publisher because your ideas are not properly presented. So the ultimate goal of scientific writing is to communicate complex experimental and analytical findings, absolute precision, maximum clarity and perfect reproducibility. Okay, so these are the things that is required or that is the objective of scientific writing. We try to communicate our complex experimental and analytical findings using the paper by properly presenting it with maximum clarity and maximum precision, precisely and perfect reproducibility. So, what is the life cycle of the manuscript? The life cycle is spanning behind these rows. So this is starting from conception, where you start doing a hypothesis or theoretical background of that, reviewing preliminary studies like literature. Okay, so when you try to conceptualize a particular idea, you need to go towards its theory, history of that, and whatever has been done regard to that. Then execution should try to design some protocols, gather data in that field, and doing some experiments on that. Once you do the experiment, we translate the methods and evidence into a paper format or writing format. Then review and revision. So once you draft it, you need to review it multiple times. Internal editing, co-author checks and peer review. So anything what you write in a paper, immediately you should not directly go for publication. So what we do, we review the paper ourselves, okay, whether there are some whatever I am thinking, whether it is reproduced in the paper correctly or not, and we need to do some author checks and writing aspects or writing grammar correction, all those things. Then curation. So once you do the review, then comes optimizing its metadata. Metadata is all the related files. Okay. So like suppose you are including pictures, tables, and other files. So this is with respect to the latex and other tools as well. So latex, the paper file along with other metadata has to be included. Okay. So almost all publications, publishers, they are asking for those metadata. So after reviewing the paper or after designing your own paper, you need to go through the see all the metadata are present or not. Okay, correctly present or not. Then archiving those, making that in a module, and dissemination. So dissemination in the sense you try to submit the paper, disseminate your idea. Okay, so common misconception. So what we feel actually, initially when you start doing a research, you start doing experiment by taking some data. Okay, so once you take some data and do some experiment, sometimes the misconception is you should not write paper. Those who are the beginners, so they cannot start writing the paper. They should complete all these experimental data and all the metadata, review it properly, then start writing. But others who have some experience in writing papers and publication, so once they get new idea, they try to do experiments on new data. Parallelly, they should start writing paper. So this misconception is do not begin writing only after experiments are completely done. That means if you are strong in the theoretical aspect, okay, why experiments are done? To validate your idea, to prove your idea that whatever you have thought, that is correct through some results. Okay, so in order to validate our idea, we need to do some experiment and show to the outside world. So this is the justification of our idea. But when you have a strong assumption about your theoretical thought, so you can start writing the paper about those theories or all. Experimental part can be later completed. So it's not always, because so this will make your things much faster. Once if you think that after completing everything I start writing, so that may delay the process. Okay. Then your yes. Your paper revolves around a single pivotal query. So we should use the final framework. Final framework is if not feasible. So this is while formulating a research problem, a research question. Okay. So do you have the samples, databases, budget and time? Because sometimes some abstract thoughts comes into our mind. We try to do research on that. So that may not be always feasible. So you need to see its feasibility. Okay, whether we can do that research and wherever in the place where we are, currently wherever you are, you can do good research with the help of internet connectivity and all resources available. Okay, but previously those who are good researchers, so they cannot start doing research until unless they had a complete infrastructure to support that. So today, infrastructure is something only if you have access to the internet, you have access to the outside world, okay? And most of them you are able to get almost all resources, okay? So feasibility study is important. Then next one is interesting. Does it spark curiosity within your peer community? So whatever research we are trying to do, so that research should be a common interest among the community. Okay? If it is a very common cause that is applicable to many social impact, it is impacting social behavior or social or community world, then that would be more interesting. Then noble, does it confirm, refute, expand current knowledge? So it should be noble. Noble may not be in the sense of like you will get Nobel Prize. It's not like that. It's noble. Okay, that means the idea is little different and maybe extending the current ideas. Whatever you have with us or whatever is existing, like something like you can see this particular device. So this device is already being used by many of us. So can you think of designing or extending its facility? Like mobile devices you can see companies are trying hard and doing research on that, adding more and more features in terms of hardware, in terms of software, in terms of other aspects, applications which will bring something new to this world and nobody has known it. It's not like that. You can start doing research by extending a particular research work, extending or maybe a delta increment to the performances achieved so far. Okay, so you can do that. Then ethics is very important. So does it satisfy institutional review boards and ethical declarations? This is very important part nowadays in ethics because of lot of resources available. Okay, nowadays, like people can copy paste and show that this is my research. So there are ethical values to be considered, and it's also should be relevant. Does it address contemporary problems or point to future directions? It should be a common interest. Now defining scopes and boundaries. Always we need to narrow down the target. Okay. So broad targets are considered to be weak. Broad targets means investigate, for example, investigating machine learning algorithms to improve healthcare systems globally. Okay. That means n number of research papers and research outcomes are available for this topic. Still people are trying to design new machine learning models to target healthcare. It's not the end of the story, but the target should not be like this. You should not mention this is my target. Target should be mentioned in a narrow way. Like it should be narrow and strong. Comparing restrictivity, efficient architectures in classifying diabetic retinopathy severity from primary care context. That means the goal is very, very specific. You can see in this particular second sentence, the narrow says that it is clearly visible what we are going to do. The upper one is very generic. Upper one is very generic. Somebody will ask you what research we are doing. What is your research interest? You can take one word as a field. But what exact research you are doing? If you tell, if we are investigating machine learning algorithms for a paper to improving healthcare, which kind of healthcare, which machine learning model, there are so many. No? So this is not, this is very, very broad. So your research topic should not be very broad. It should be very narrow down. So that it can target some specific problems using some techniques. So this will come reflected in the form of the title of the research. Set strict operational boundaries, what we are not covering, that is also important. Like see, suppose we develop a particular machine, okay, and it is working good inside this room, but whenever it is going outside, it is not working as efficiently as it is inside doing that. So in that case, you should mention under this condition, this particular work is giving satisfactory result. Whenever you go out, we are getting another environment, it may not work as efficiently as inside the room. So these assumptions and these things which are not covering also should be mentioned carefully. That is very important. Okay? Focus on solving one major problem systematically. So do not rely on basic unstructured searches. Like suppose I'll tell you to search some good papers in the area of blood cancer. So like school boys, school children, you don't start searching by directly writing blood cancer in the Google search. So that will not give you good historical outcomes for that topic, not good papers. Okay? So you should use some technique, okay, and you should target some publications publisher sites and use some keywords in order to refine your search. That is very important. So people often do this mistake by searching the keywords in the directly in the Google. If you search in the Google, so Google is a search engine which will not give you, cannot give you the quality representation. It gives you all representation. Out of that, you need to search which one is good, which one is bad also. So if you properly give the searching criteria using this Boolean operator, search parameters like name or I need these two keywords, cancer, lot, along this technique, within the year, within this publisher, all these search. It will give you the refined search. Previously, Google may give you 10,000 papers. If you do this search, it may reduce to 1,000. Then again refine, it may reduce to 10. So out of that 10, you will be able to rate. You will be able to find out very easily which are good, which are bad quality papers or quality articles. Okay. So these keywords, wildcards means some notations. You need to give some notation, punctuation marks. Use double quotes to catch different variations. The searches. Platform focus. So which platform you should use for searching? This is different from different fields. Like query abstract indexing databases. Here you are in your different publication sites. Now, once you find out all literatures, you need to present that as a summary sheet. Avoid a passive summary sheet literature review. We need to do a systematic extraction. Systematic extraction in the form of a table, in the form of a matrix. You can see here different sources have been identified. Two of the sources have been identified. One is some 21 using some methodology random queries. They have taken this data, they have post runs, they have identified limitations. Along with that, you also can write your performance measures what they are saying. Okay? So this will, by representing that in the form of a matrix, placing previous papers next to each other, instantly highlights overlapping findings, conflicts in literature and structural patterns. Like by writing them in the form of a matrix or a table, you can identify which are overlap, which are mixed, which are similar, all this, and year-wise you can sort it out. You can see which one is the largest one. So all these information can be collected if you represent them in an efficient way like this. Now, one of the important tasks is identifying the research gap. So, while writing the paper, you must have to write this research gap. Otherwise, it will not be published. Okay? So, how you write? That is written here. There are three types of common gaps that we should cite. Okay, so that should be written clearly within first three paragraphs of introduction. Okay, so I will show you the structure, how the paper looks like and how you write. First one is called knowledge gap. Knowledge gap says a missing piece of empirical data in the current literature. If some empirical data is missing, we need to write that is the knowledge gap. Okay? And methodological gap, like we see that this methodology has not been applied previously. Like existing techniques are biased or lack resolution. Okay? Then application gap, some of the research already have been carried out, but that has not been deployed or executed in a particular application. Okay, so even that is also a gap that is known as application gap. So whichever gap you feel that is there in the particular research, we need to cite those. So we need to use some some important phrases to identify the research gap. So, like this. However, we should write in this way. However, something is done. However, the dynamic limits of something remain poorly understood. While prior studies focused on this, they have overlooked or missed. Okay, you should not write they have not done. So they have not done means you have done identity they have not done. You should write so they have overlooked, which is commonly missed by research scholars. Because once you have not experienced in writing paper, you cannot do that. So what you do, you think that whatever I have done, it's a good one, and I can directly write this, so they have not done, I am writing this. Okay, so you should avoid these mistakes. So and common phrase is to date, till date, to date. This has not been validated on this particular data. No clinical trials have been conducted and no similar applications are available to my knowledge. So if you write in this way, so very in a soothing way, so that whenever you send it for a proper publication, okay, so reviewers will see that no, you are not finding someone else, you are telling that whatever you have done is a improving approach, okay, an improvement over the previous thing. Now reference managers and citation workflows. So while writing the references or citations, we should not write the citations or references randomly. We should use different tools are available. I'll show you the tools, okay? Then we should use browser extensions to capture metadata, and there are citation keys. So using keys, the latex image, there are keys which is using the BibTeX tags, okay? So by using this, it not only makes your presentation very good, but also make us to change it multiple times without any difficulty. Multiple, if you use a tool, okay, so it's like a machine, it will make your, suppose a particular reference is number 30, okay, so that reference will take it to 15. If the key is given, so automatically it will adjust. You do not have to bother where it is, where. So all these things can be achieved by using different tools. Now, this is all about your conceptualization and starting of the research. Then, what should be the structural architecture? What should be the structure of your paper? Okay, so we commonly follow IMRD blueprint. So what is IMRD? So it is introduction. Start with introduction. Methods or methodology. What is your methodology about? Results and discussion. So these things must be the part of the paper. Okay? So what this introduction contains? It has only 3 pages. I'll show you that. It establishes context. Somebody reads the introduction, he understands that what is this paper is about.
Sir, I have one question. What is the difference between research problem and research care?
Research problems.
And research care.
Research problems could be like identifying cancers, blood cancers at early stage. That is the research problem. Have been approached by many of us, many of the researchers. But what is not achieved till date? Like they may take the Research problem is there are so many problems that can be solved. Up to what extent it is solved, or what not solved, what not solved in the research lab. Okay. So introduction has three stages. First is establishing the context, then the research lab, then the objectives, what they are doing. So here, many of the paper formats try to include the literature review along the introduction. Some of the formats try to separate, like introduction, then next section is literature review. Okay, so if there are two sections, same introduction can be divided into two parts because stages, forwarding the stages are similar. Then methodology, as you know, what methodology you have used, okay, and step by step, what is the block diagram, how each block works, how your process is carried out. Okay, all these things talks about methodology. Then results. Once you do some experiment, you have some results. Represent those results accuracy. Whatever results you are getting, you just narrate those results. Okay. Then discussion. Final discussion is like once you have the results, you write multiple paragraphs to discuss those results. What is your achievement? What could not be done? How much improvement is required? How much improvement you have done? All those things should be discussed properly. Okay? So this structural anatomy is followed in every paper. So you must know what are the contents of all these things. So let us go one by one. So rules of high impact titles. So title is very important. You can start with the title. Title is your paper skill board means it should, okay, capture attention and communicate value under 15 words. Okay, if you are doing that, it is well and good. If 15 can be extended to 18, can be limited to 12. Okay, so 15 just start with simple subjective value. Okay, it can be incremented, decremented. Okay, then what this title should talk about? It should talk about outcome. It should talk about system. Okay, like you see, there are two comparisons given. Poor titles, analysis of deep learning in medicine. Okay, this simply looks like very generic. Okay, you will not be willing to see all those things. Okay, so this is like a Google search. Okay, a study on this. Okay, so these are mostly given title for reviewing papers. Doubt? Okay. So excellent titles could be Deep Learning Ensemble Network for Automated Retrograde Classification in Primary Care. That means it has told all about your paper. The title should reflect the outcome, also what system you are doing to produce that outcome. Okay, what is the outcome? Automated classification in primary care is the outcome. What is the system? System is ensemble deep learning based ensemble technique. Further can be specified what deep learning technique. You can write some technique inside the title as well. That is important. If you are able to write, that is good enough. More better. Okay? So title is very important. The abstract after.
Please, with regard to the previous slide.
Previous slide.
Yes.
Let us go back. Previous slide. Yes.
For the core title.
Yes.
Did you say, for example, analysis of deep learning in medicine is taken to review papers? Why should
Maybe. Some more keywords are required. This particular sentence cannot be. Some more words are required to justify a review paper. Study on this. Mostly when you write study on this, you will get mostly review papers. Study this, I am collecting, I didn't do any research on that, but I have collected and understood what everyone is doing that. Okay, and then producing that. Okay, collectively getting and disseminating. Okay. So abstract also should be very important. Okay, so because currently whatever paper you are publishing, okay, before the reviewer, before reading your paper, first it goes to the title. If he or she feels the title is good, then next step would be to review the abstract. Once he gets to the reads the abstract, if he is satisfied, then only he goes to the next. Otherwise, just throws it. Okay? This is not done by reviewers. This is done by the editors. Editors reads the abstract and feels that this particular paper is suitable for our journal. Then he tries to send it to different reviews. If he doesn't feel that this particular abstract is not good enough or not presenting a proper idea, simply throws it. It's called test rejection. Test rejection is so it is being rejected before the review. So only being examined by editor of the publisher. Okay. Why this is previously this was not an act. Whenever we were submitting paper, okay, during my case I was selling. So whenever we are selling, it is not rejected, outright rejected by the editor. It is sent to reviewers. But present scenario, present context, huge numbers of papers are complicated. Okay, so these papers are thoroughly screened by the editorial committee. First, editorial committee checks whether this paper is worth to be published or not. If it is worthless for publication, they are not sending, they are sending back. Okay, so that is decided by using title and abstract. So if title and abstract are properly written, then if you do some mistakes in the grammar and any experimental during the internal part of the paper, so this can be got by the reviewer and it is asked for modification. Okay? If the abstract and titles are not proper, it will not be. Okay? So abstract should contain these 5 things. One is background. There is the global context and specific knowledge there. Okay? What is the context and knowledge there, research there in 1 or 2 lines. Objective, declare the precise aim of the study, what you are going to do. Then methodology should be clearly written. Okay? Results, highlight the quantitative metrics. We achieved this accuracy for these data sets. That has to be mentioned clearly. This is our methodology. We use or we utilize and we presented and we explored this particular technique and experimented on multiple data sets to validate our experiments and obtain this much of performance measures. And this is in comparison produces better result in comparison with the existing state of the art technique. So this type of sentences should be there in the abstract. Okay? Results and conclusions. So this is abstract is not an introduction, remember. So most of them who starts writing the paper, they start writing, suppose I am doing research on cancer. So I am writing in India or in Western country there are general number of cancer patients dying and the according to record, so these things should not be there in the abstract. Abstract should be clearly specified, which says that which problem you are attending, which has not been carried out, you are trying to attempt that, and which methodology you have used for that, and what is your outcome by doing the research. These 5 things must be present. First, background, which context? In the context of detecting cancer, and because it has not been deployed for early stages and not been done for early stages, this paper aims to do that. And by using these techniques, I am doing that, and followed by the results and okay, so this thing should be there. Then start with introduction. So how to write introduction? So it's a like triangular top-down approach actually, funnel type approach. So first stage is the global context. So we in the global context focus on the importance of the field. Like with respect to cancer, I am telling you, all of us know detecting cancer is important. So that need not be specified. Very common things should not be specified. We need to specify if we are able to do early detection at the stage 1 or below stage 1, even after without symptoms. So that is having some importance. Okay, so you should start writing that in the context of the importance of the field. What is important in detecting cancer? So what is important? Early detection is important. So that should be done. Okay, you are doing research in that. Okay, then critical literature synthesis. Because we have done all literature studies, we need to write out what are the problems and what are the different sub-problems. Okay, existing solution, and this has, so in the year this so and so researchers have developed this technique for to handle this problem. However, they have achieved this and they have overlooked, they have missed that. So this paper we are trying to achieve that. So this way the phrases should come out and narrow down to the target sub-problem. Okay? Then finally the research lab, followed by your research objective. So all these things should be there in the introduction. Okay? So it's not some bad sentences like you are going on giving statistics, this medical has this medical has this, India has this, and US has this, India has this, all of it. This thing should not be written. It should be more specific. First you start with what is the context, on which area you are trying to focus. After specifying the area, you write what is the literature study, what other people have carried out, and what is their outcome. Based on that, what we are going to do, your objective. So research there followed by your objective, right? Then your conclusion, what you have done in research. So all these things should be mentioned in the introduction. Using a funnel approach, global context, specific, so narrow down. Global context, specific, review the gap. So this has been explained thoroughly. Start with a strong one. We should write strong motivation and anchor your claim with correct statistics. What are the different losses if you don't do this research to show the importance of your work? And then you need to make a clear baseline. So you need to do a foundational system so that they can be widely used in that field. So what should be avoided? Do not begin with historical facts that are too general, which is not to us. So what do you when you see a research, read a start reading a research paper, if you see like has done this has this. So only history of the things. So it will go to the particular examiner review. Okay, they will go like us. So they want what interesting about this work. First, they should know the context, one or two lines. Then follow by literature, what is not done till now. Then what we are doing. So if you write like this, it will make them interesting and they start reading the paper. Otherwise they will go. Nobody is there, nobody has the time to read all the other papers. Yes or no? So everyone is busy, everyone does not have time. So to make them attracted to our work, we need to present them properly. Only doing experimental study simulating or doing some experiments is not good. If you want to write good paper, you need to know all those things. So these are the key ideas you should learn so that your presentation could be much better. So there was your focus. So you can see, review existing work critically, what methods have other researchers proposed that I have already told. So there are how you synthesize. One is active synthesis and passive cataloging. So passive cataloging says that, so whenever you are citing somebody else's paper, you are writing Smith did this, Kim did this. So don't try to write like this. Rather, the active way, you should write, although, these are examples, although congressional letters have successfully classified devices within bracket, these methods still struggle under clinical conditions with low resolution input. You simply should not write X has done this, Y has done this, Z has done this. Rather, though X, Y, Z has done this, they miss or they overlook. It was not experimented on this data set. Okay, we are trying to do that. Okay? Gap declaration. How to declare the gaps. So conclude. Introduction should be concluded with by transitioning directly from the identified gap to the proposed solution and state our study objective clearly. So one example has been written here. Although automated tools have shown promise, their diagnostic accuracy remains untested on multi-ethnic clinical data sets. So we are trying to, let us suppose, include some more data sets to, like carrying out more experiment and trying to produce a register. So we should write in that way. Like, although automated tools have done some good research, means we are not criticizing the research, rather we are emphasizing the research. We are telling they have done a good research, but it was not implemented on these clinical data sets. We are trying to do that. That means we are making their work important as well as making our work interesting. While doing research, you should not reject somebody else's research work. You should always give emphasis to them. Okay, respect their work. Respecting their work, presenting our work in a nice way. This way we can present. Okay? So methodology. Okay, methodology says primary goal of micro section is to establish absolute reproducibility. So it says what things you need to include in the methodology. So how your study is designed, how you have done your theoretical study, what is your subjects, material, data sets taken, what are the different processes involved in solving that problem. Okay, and if you have mathematical models, it also should give the statistical techniques and mathematical models. So this is rather easy to write because you have done this. You have taken 5 blocks, carried out 5 processes. You know that already you have done. You can write them easily. So this part is a little bit easier to write rather than other parts. Because other parts requires experience. This part also requires experience, but with your own knowledge you can write. Other parts you need to refer Okay? So now reporting results, okay? So result section should purely objective, okay? We need to avoid misinterpretation and discussion of implications, comparison with other studies here. So in the result, we do not do any comparison. In the result, we only reproduce the result. In the discussion, we do the comparison. There are two parts. One is result, one is discussion. Result is present all the results. Your results along with the other results. Don't discuss that. Only show the results in using plots, graphs, tabular formats. Okay. Then you report negative, unexpected results honestly. Suppose sometimes you may not get good results in some of the experiments. You do not try to hide that. You must include that in the paper. And by hiding them, laterally you are hiding your or damaging your credibility. So we should not hide our unexpected results. Because sometimes during this experimentation for a particular environmental scenario, you may get unexpected results. Those things also can be mentioned. Okay? So this is a slide tip you can see. So all these section, this section should be written in the past tense because we have already done the experiment. So after experimenting, we achieved this. Okay, we worked on this data set. The test of this data set has been carried out and we got this result. So set interpretations for the discussion. Then how to make your data visualization. Okay, you can, for clarity, you can give labels. You can use a high resolution picture. Sometimes, so what do we do? We, let me finish this part. We take some copy-pasted pictures, okay, and write them in the paper. So we should not do that. So that makes your clarity poor. So our picture quality should be in high resolution. Clarity level should be more by using units, what units you have used, all these things. And design, you can use high contrast color palettes. Okay? So better to avoid 3D bar charts because 3D bar charts tonight do not compare much. So whatever is understandable by the reviewer, we should produce those kind of results. Okay? Self-contained captions. Every picture table must be having captions and it should be self-explanatory. Suppose I write accuracy comparison of this technique or different techniques. That means the table should contain comparison of accuracy shown for different techniques. Okay? That means captions should say about what are the results here. Okay? Now coming to tables. So most of the cases, tables will do vertical grid lines. So vertical grid lines should not be given. Okay, if I represent this way, you can see some all standard papers. They are presenting the tables in this format without giving vertical column bars. Only this rows looks better. Okay, so use clean academic table layouts with horizontal lines only. Avoid vertical borders. Align numeric values along with the decimal points for easier scanning. That means you see the, like suppose precision I am getting 0.812, 915, 942. So suppose I am getting 0.9494. Okay, but while representing I should write 940, not only 94, to align them properly. So that looks better at, they can, it's very easy for comparison. Okay, so two algorithms and then is compared with the proposed algorithm and the results are shown in a proper line form. Okay? Define any applications or statistical methods, okay, in the table footnotes. Like suppose, sometimes what happens, to accommodate bigger tables, okay, big tables, having suppose here 3 components shown, suppose I have 10 components, I want to show. So what I will do, it cannot be contained in a single A4 size format, so I need to reduce the font. So reducing font again, but doesn't look better. So what I can do, I can give some applications for precision like suppose PR, recall suppose RE, suppose. Okay, then below the table, footnote, I write what is PR means, what is this recall means. PR, precision, RE, recall. So that conveys your complete table in a better. Okay? So discuss this after the treatment. Okay? Yes.
We discussed about
Huh?
previously discussed about active synthesis and passive cataloging. Active synthesis and passive cataloging. So can you just differentiate between which one is better?
Active one is better. So see.
Talking about that active better than
No. See, it says that. So why?
ତମେ ସେଟା ନେଇ ଆସ
You come. I see this catalog is like suppose we are doing 5 tables. Okay, 5 others. So you should not write X did this, Y did this, Z did this, Z is not in that. You should not write that. You should write in a mobile. I have told that one sentence. These methods have been previously researched by, previously done by these doctors and previously done. Directly writing So after visualizing your data in the result section, so the next section is to interpret your results, okay, and discuss them properly, so that whatever ideas you have brought into the presentation, it would be more clear. So this is a two-stage structure for discussion. So in the result section, you only present the results, don't discuss. Make a discussion as a separate section, so that you can discuss the pros and cons of the outcomes, limitations, and what is your outcome, how it is comparable with other state of the art techniques. So main finding, restate your core result clearly and explain how it addresses your primary research question. So by writing, let us suppose we have extended a technique, we got an improvement of 5% accuracy improvement over the existing techniques. And so by doing so, how you are trying to solve the correct problem, you can discuss that. Okay? In the context of literatures, how it is comparable. So previous studies have shown this, and your outcome, experimental outcome is showing better than that. So you can show that using the literature, do they align in the sense whether, like suppose somebody has achieved 19.3, sorry, 90.3, you have achieved 92.3. So these are said to be aligned. Somebody has achieved 70, you have achieved 95. So they are not aligned. So in that case, you need to strongly write why there is a significant change in the result. If the increment is very narrow and that narrow increment is contributing towards addressing the problem, you can cite that very well. However, if the results are completely significantly different, you need to discuss much on that. Why it is significantly different? Do they align? Conflict in the sense somebody is getting 1, you are getting 20. So that is little bit conflict. Okay, you need to justify that. The mechanistic insights, why the reason you need to underline the reasons of scientific causes of your observed results. Then once, like suppose we have tested with 5 data sets, 4 data sets, let us suppose it is giving good result and 1 is performing poorly. So you also should be transparent to show that you can write that limitation to the proposed methodology is achieving good results on these XYZ data sets. However, it is performing poorly on this. Why it is performing poorly also you can discuss that. So this post-step structure of your discussion plays a very vital role, okay, in presenting your results. Results only show the results in the form of charts, dashboards, tabular forms. Discussion, we need to write sentences starting from main finding to the limitations, discussing all over the, starting from beginning to ending. Okay? Then refinement, style and case study. So you can see the differences between refinement is after you write the discussion, then you need to refine your paper. Okay? So what are the differences? Result section presents observations and findings. Discussion interprets meaning and context. What is the meaning? So focus objective reporting of data. Discussion is argumentative, linking how it is linked to the theory. Whatever theory you have established, how experimentally you have justified that. So that should be mentioned in the discussion. Okay? Common phrases in the result section should be the temperature increased by 15%. Discussion, you need to write this increase can be attributed to a good outcome. Okay? So, tone and style, here tone and style is also important. Result section can always should be written in past tense or neutral. Discussion, it should be analytical and you can mix present and past tense as per the suitability of the sentence. Okay? Handling literature, result section only references, discussion, synthesization, compares. You can write, so and so method have not achieved this particular or this result with this particular data. However, the presented technique or proposed technique is achieving good result in comparison with other works. So, critical error would be don't repeat wrong numbers from the results in the discussion. Means, while writing in the discussion, you should not say that here in the result section you are writing temperature increase by 15%. Same thing you should not write in the discussion the increase of 15% is attributed to us. Only increase because already you presented the 15% you have already mentioned. Same thing you repeatedly do not mention. So try to avoid the numerical values in the discussion section. Focus on explaining the relationship and implications. Only write discussion section without having any numerical values. Okay? Then the conclusion section. So conclusion, most of them, what happens? Beginners directly write all, some of the, they think that it's a summary of the again abstract, it's not a summary of the abstract. Conclusion, tell what are your findings, what are your limitations, which is not written in the abstract. Okay? Don't make conclusion simply summary. Use it to highlight long-term impact of your work. State your main scientific conclusions clearly and explain their broader relevance, how it is relevant to the outside world and interested community. You should write in the limitations. It's not the abstract. Okay? Highlight the practical value and real world applications. Propose concrete, realistic next steps for future research. So this you should not forget. Always conclusions, though the section name is conclusion, sometimes papers write conclusion and future scope. Most of them we write conclusions, but in the last part of the conclusion we also should write what is its future aspect, in what direction it can be extended. So while starting your research work, if you see, review the literatures, there you can get some idea. But from your paper, another researcher who is taking help of your paper to do some extended research, he can see whether there is scope for increment or not. If you write that, now this particular methodology is concentrated or only limited to this structure, however, this can be extended to this many problems. If you write that, they can think that, so this is the starting point of our research, they can start extending that to a new direction. So this future direction is also important. So whatever we should not discuss right new data, new figure, claim. Okay, whatever has been claimed, you should conclude that. You should not write new data and conclude. New figure. So keep it focused on the impact of findings. What findings? What are your findings that you already shown? What is your impact to the community, or what is the impact to the different problems? That should be written. Now this is a case study of diagnostic medical AI overview. So the scenario is what? The scenario is research team aims to evaluate deep learning algorithms for automated diabetic retinopathy in primary care, comparing performance against retina specialists. So challenge is diabetic retinopathy is a leading cause of blindness worldwide. That is a clinical challenge. Specialists are scared in rural and primary care settings. Okay, so these are your challenges. So taking these, like you are asking what are the problems, these are our problems. These are our research problems. Okay, specialists are scared and it's a leading cause of blindness. is global problem. Okay, global problem can be shortened or narrowed down. Okay, up to what extent it is done, what you are going to do. So, clinical setup, in the clinical setup, specialists are scarce in rural and primary care settings. So, without specialists, how AI can help in diagnosing the disease, that is the problem. Okay, okay. So, study goal is we deploy an AI model in primary care clinics to detect referable cases and evaluate model performance on diverse patients. Now, crafting the abstract, okay, how to start writing the abstract, deconstruct how this case study is translated into a structured high impact abstract. There are 4 stages I told, 3 or 4 stages of abstract. Start with context, then literature, yeah, then objective. So, as the background, how do you take right? Diabetic retinopathy prevents a leading cause of vision loss, but primary care settings often lack access to specialized eye care. So, this is the background. So, it says that though diabetic retinopathy is a leading cause, primary care settings do not have much facility to this clinic. So, to do that, so this is the basic problem, okay, global context problem. Then methods, we have methods. What methodology followed? Methodology is we evaluated deep learning ensemble algorithm and 10,000 patient scans. In the methodology you should write. Comparing its diagnostic performance against a high growth retina specialist. Okay? Results means this methodology you have followed. Followed by results. Results you need to write the numerical value. The proposed AI model achieved 94.2% diagnostic accuracy. Okay? Showing non-inferiority to human specialist and outperforming classical machine learning models. So this is your result section discussing how what is the result achieved by your current proposed AI model. Conclusion, so that result and discussion are there in that. What is the result? 94.2. Discussion is showing in the abstract. This is the abstract. One line for it. Showing non-inferiority to human specialist. Okay? Outperforming classical machine learning models. Now, conclusion, these findings suggest that deploying automated conclusion means what? It's not the conclusion, it's the last part of abstract. Okay. Now, next is IMRD structure of the paper starts. Okay. It's a funnel like I told, starting with broad context. So for this study, we can start with like 1 or 2 sentences, not more than that. Diabetic retinopathy affects over 100 million patients globally, representing a massive burden on the healthcare systems. Okay, and you can write on that because this is on primary care settings. Okay, not much facility is available at primary care health centers. So the clinical challenge is to screen the patients having diabetic retinopathy. So this is on the context and what is the challenge. Okay. Then narrowing focus, paragraph 2. Recent advances. This is what? Paragraph 2 is talking about literature and its gaps. Okay. Literature, then gaps and objective. So recent advances in computer vision have enabled automated screening tools to classify medical scans. Also, you can write several studies have been carried out. Several studies have been carried out. In the several studies, within bracket you give the citations. Several studies have been carried out. Significant methods have been derived. Okay, have been out of all those things you can write those narrowing focus. Then, what is the objective? Objective and research gap. What you are exactly trying to do? However, after that, you can start writing. However, existing models have not been rigorously tested on multi-ethnic patient populations in primary care. So this is the important research here. You need to write it back. After writing, your objective is what? To address this problem. So to address this problem, okay, to address this limitation, we have proposed, okay, or we present a technique or methodology on using this ensemble technique to develop a robust AI model for addressing that challenge. Or to address this, we evaluated our ensemble network on diverse lesson sample. You must write down the one line for methodology followed by your one line for methodology can be written, okay? Or you can directly write the objective. What we have evaluated other than that. That will give you a structural flow starting from broad context to the what we have done. So that completes your introduction followed by literature review. Then, so in the discussion link, AI models performs back to the real world, overly explain how achieving this accuracy on the real world condition validates the methodology, compare with the literature, highlight that while prior models struggled with poor quality scans, we can write that in the discussion of the introduction, okay? Poor quality scans, your ensemble design can give high accuracy because of pre-processing pipeline. And what is its real world impact? Discuss how this tool can help reduce waiting times and costs. Then transparent limitations, acknowledge that data set still lacks representative scans because there might be limitation of the data sets for this condition, rare retinal condition, which are important areas for future research. Okay? Now, by this you can train by following this particular IL-RNA structure. You can make your outcome visible properly to the outsiders after publication. Okay, without publication, it is not possible to make your outcome visible. Okay, so to make a publication, we should follow all this structure. Okay, introduction should contain 4 stages. Title important, ask you to decide what title, because today this is very easy to design a good title. Once you write your methodology in short form, give it to the ChatGPT or Gemini, it will suggest very good titles for you. Previously we were struggling for giving a good title. Nowadays it's very easy. Okay, out of those suggested titles, you apply your brain to tune all those to make a good one. Okay, then abstract. Abstract also can be given by generative AI, but don't do that. That is public nothing. So if you directly copy, okay, it may be not an AI plugin. It will have AI plugin. So to avoid that, what you do, if you are not getting an idea, take a note of this activity and write that in your own words by refining this or tuning these words. That will avoid the AI overlap and AI plagiarism. Because nowadays tools are there also that AI plagiarism, outright rejected. Okay, so that comes in the publication ethics. 15% maintaining strict research integrity is vital. Most reputable journals using automated tools to screen plagiarism during submission. Before going to the editor, publishers have their own tool. Use that to detect plagiarism. Whether you copy it from your any tool or not, or whether you copy it from any other platform. Any other platform, it's a crime. You should not do that. But must not do any other platform. You can use help of AI, but take the help, get some logic, get some idea, replicate your mix of your ideas and write. That is the best. Okay? Aim to keep your similarity index below 10% overall, with less than 1% similar to any single published source. So, like suppose my plagiarism is suppose 20%. If I am retaining suppose 30 papers, referring 30 papers, and I am taking one from each. That is allowed. Now I am not taking from methodology. I was taking from some of the ideas or some ways what he is writing, he or she is writing. So that is less than 1%. 20% less than 1%, it will make gross 15. So that is allowed. Okay? So if you keep 1% similarity, less than 1% similarity, it will not be it will make acceptable. Okay? Then high similarity score can lead to immediate resignation and plagiarism, including copying your own past work without proper citation. Because I have published one paper today. After 6 months, I am publishing another paper in a similar reason. Still, I cannot use these words, this sentence. Okay? If I am writing some of the exact sentence, I need to cite that so and so writing my name. This author has presented or proposed in 2019 this one. Okay, citation done. Okay, so that is important. So next writing practices: write summaries in your own words, then cite the source. Use quotes sparingly only when exact phrasing is essential. Never take just few words in a complete paragraph. Rewrite it completely. Rewriting is required. Okay? Completely copy is not allowed. So there is a credit framework structure, contributed roles taxonomy. So starting from conceptualization and methodology, okay, determine authorship and contributions yearly to avoid conflicts before submission. So this says that, like suppose 3 or 4 persons are involved in a paper, authors. So their contributions should be clear initially before dissemination. If there is no objection from different author, it's fine. Sometimes there might be conflict, so you should be careful and determine your authorship. Somebody may have contributed during methodology, somebody may have contributed during writing the paper, somebody may have done some correction, retuning or refining in the thing. So their responsibility and contribution should be clearly. There should not be any conflict. That's to avoid conflict. Okay. So every listed author must have had a significant intellectual contribution. And in the credit rules, methodology, software and validation, data curation, collection, writing, so all these are different roles. Okay, suppose some author is giving, you don't say that, suppose somebody has developed a simulated and other authors have contributed other parts. Counsel is given by me, but they did not simulate, he or she has simulated. Okay, so contribution from both of us are same. It's not that he has, because he has simulated and got the outputs, I cannot. So this should not be any conflict. So I also have similar rights to clear. So before dissemination, all these things will be clear. Otherwise, there will be a ethical conflict. Okay. So data curation and collecting, writing. So simply, suppose somebody is providing funding. Okay. Ethically his name should not be included, but he should be given thank in the acknowledgement. So it is up to the contributors. If you want to include him without any conflict, he can add funding. Okay? So this is nothing to say more about that, because if all there are 5 others are there and they do not have any conflict, okay? One may be contributing, may not be contributing. Ethically, what is written I'm telling, but in practical cases, sometimes this is also the difference of reading of so in that case, about 50%. is rejected. 50% papers coming to a particular editor are rejected by looking into that. Okay, editor is chief first, then some editors. A particular journal, editor in chief, you will all in order to decide whether the papers will be taken into consideration or not. If it is that papers will be taken into consideration, he finds a suitable editor who can handle that paper. Okay, but there may be different editors who are working in different areas. Suppose the paper is coming in area of cancer, so chief editor is who is handling that cancer area. So he is handling that paper. So that editor, so these things are before sending that to the editor, actual editor. Editor in chief is by considering scope, plagiarism, and your if a two-column format is required, if the paper is submitted in one-column format, what will do? Immediately, even currently what my experience has been, if format is not paper, it is system automatically sets that. Okay, so there is no chief editor. Chief editor only sees when it is properly formatted and all documents are submitted. If some, like a file, a zip file, the PDF file containing the paper and associated file, figure file, all these things. If figure files are not there, when you compile it doesn't work. So, it will operate through that paper. So, while submitting the paper, you should ensure all the proper formatting and the related files must be present. Then clear evaluation, editor send the paper to 2-3 independent experts. The reviewers evaluate, then comes to the once it goes to the reviewer, think that almost your paper acceptance chance is 50%. Once it's sent to the, I'm telling you the current status. Currently, when your paper is sent to review, almost 50% accepted. Then rest 50% based on reviewer comments. Okay. So what reviewers evaluate? The reviewers evaluate methodology, novelty and clarity. Now understanding editorial decisions. Once the reviewers are in, editor makes one of the 4 decisions. So this is an example. Different companies have different types of decisions. So one of the case taxes, which is very rare of the first submission. Currently, no first submission are directly accepted. At least some reviews should be done. Okay? Very rare. This paper is ready as it is. Okay? Whatever is submitted without any change, no reviewer has done. You do not change. Whatever is there, it is accepted. Okay? So minor revision, the paper is good enough or needs some small clarification and some simple figures are formatted because some figure might not be well understood. Okay, so they may say that you revise the figure, you revise the tables, it add this result also. So these are minor comments. So after incorporating minor comments, the paper can be accepted. Major revision, you need to address deeper issues, which are involving. So minor revision, once you get minor revision, 80% accepted. 8 more than 80. Major revision, 60. 50, after it goes to review, think that 50% accepted. Major revision, 60% accepted. So there is still chance 40% of rejection. Okay, if you cannot satisfy, like 20 comments are given. Okay, if you successfully completed more than 15 comments with proper justification, I may not be justified properly. Like they just think somebody has written, you must evaluate on these 5 data sets. Out of 5, suppose you have deal with only 3. So you can say that the suggested observations or comments were well taken up. However, we got with the current infrastructure, we could be able to complete with 3. So 2 more we have thought of adding 2 more in the 5th the editor feels that now he has justified himself, he has done something. If you write directly that, no, it's not possible to write the current scenario, you will do it either or directly. So it cannot satisfy. But you should write it as the way to justify or to satisfy the reviewers' comments. Okay. So rejection is the study lacks cruelty and critical methodological cost simply doesn't fit the journal scope. Okay? So PP, a revision request is an opportunity. Revision request is always an opportunity. Means they have already identified what the faults in the paper. Okay? You can, if you think you can, the paper is correct, scope is matching, everything is good, but however you need to do some corrections. So that it should think this is an opportunity and try to address each and every comment nicely. So that you do that corrections in the paper, highlight whatever changes that has been carried out, and make a rebuttal as asked by the publisher, rebuttal report. Comment, this is comment 1. Suppose resize the figure, redraw the figure has been redrawn to make the presentation better. Is suggestion. This is the compliance. Experiment on these data sets. As per the suggestion, we experimented on these data sets and this is our result, and this has been reflected in the revised paper. Page number this and highlighted. That means he can search what is the revised paper page number, if that is the suggestion. So in that case, the reviewer feels that whatever I wanted, the author has tried to attend each and every problem carefully and try to address. Even if you did not address 1 or 2 points, he can write that the paper can be accepted, however they may think of this in the future. Okay, so that way this addressing feedback always is a sure path to acceptance. So writing a robust response to reviewers. Okay, so response letter is required. It's important in the revised state. So follow these rules. Always take the constructive feedback and keep your tone polite and objective while writing. The sentences should be very formal and soothing. Okay. Respond to every. You should not say that no, this cannot be done. So we will correct. This way should not be written. If you write that, that means you are objecting examiner or reviewer of the paper. You say whatever you have written is not correct. I was correct. That means it means that the author are not in a mood or not willing to take my reviews properly and you don't want to address this problem. Okay, so that is important. Point by point response is required. Respond to every single comments directly. Do not skip or ignore any critics. Whatever response has been questions and you need to write them clearly without leaving any. Okay. So if you could not do any address any comment, write it that this could not be done. However, we are planning to include this in the future. Okay. So the changes to the clear layout when the reviewer comment response that next stages. Now coming to generative AI, what is allowed, what is strictly forbidden? Use AI for language editing, polishing sentence structure, checking code. What is forbidden? You cannot generate records using generative AI. Okay? Fake references, writing entire section record from scratch. Okay? So if you write, this is my paper, write this is the abstract. So that will give a nice abstract. You should not copy that and tell that. Okay, so these things must be forbidden. Only you can use AI for language editing. Suppose you are writing, but it is not in your mind how to write the sentence. You just write a break word. This will give you a clear sentence. So don't use that sentence directly. You can something create a good idea, like idea. Okay. So disclosure policy, most journals require you to disclose your use of AI in a dedicated section. Okay, so currently many of the publications, journal publications, they write what is your AI content. Okay, so always check and follow the guidelines. So then one of the important task is journal selection. Like suppose we have done some work, okay? Now which journal it is best fit for? So there are different journal suggestions in different publications, okay? So either you can use that by writing your title or that they will suggest which journals this paper fits in. Like suppose you did a incremental approach. So this might be simple approach can be useful for a journal of low impact. But if you target for a high impact, but your approach is very incremental, very small, okay, so you should not target to those journals. So searching or targeting journals is also very important. Ensure your topic matches what the journal. In any journal there are scopes written. You should see what are the scopes and what is your work. See the impact factor, to gauge journal citation, then reduce speed. Sometimes we require our acceptance of the paper should be quicker. Okay, so different journals have different timelines. So we need to go through all this scope, timelines, and impact factor. These are important. So publishing models can be subscription, can be open access. So subscriptions, there are many journals which have hybrid access, subscription plus open access. Okay. So subscription you need not pay any money, but whoever reading that they have to pay money to read your paper. Okay. And open access, you are paying the charges which can be open to anyone in the world. So open access gives there are advantages or disadvantages in both the cases. Open access gives you your idea more general and accessible to all who is doing research in that direction. Okay? But subscription, like suppose this institution may not have access to this publication. So there is when you might try to find you cannot get. That means if I am publishing in that journal, only very few people can see this. If my journal can be seen by many people, citation will be more. So these things differ in subscription and open access. Now there are some publishers which we should avoid. Predatory journals, like someone who are reading some different spam ways that your paper could be accepted in 48 hours, okay, and 5 days or within a day, so you should avoid those journals, okay. So most of the cases they are fake and their editorial goes through generic and include plain names. So there are substantially high acceptance rates and there are hidden fees. So to collect the fees they can do that, so we need to verify all those things. So this ends the theoretical session. Followed by we have a text, how you prepare your paper using LaTeX. Those who have learned they can see and otherwise you can see this hands on. So after knowledge, as I told, you must use a good tool for research paper writing. So here we have different tool. So this contains the architecture set of similar things. So why LaTeX? So LaTeX is one of the important tool. So to master high impact academic paper writing using LaTeX, covering document structure, equations, figures, tables, cross-referencing, bibliography management. So all these are important. Why? So LaTeX enables separation of content and presentation, flawless and checking, automated referencing and citation. Okay? So like suppose you have a study place science domain. So let us see how we follow the same structure. I am not discussing that. Okay? Title, introduction, related work, methodology, experiment and conclusion. Now you see. So setting up the variable. So variable is one of the package initial setup that LaTeX requires. So you can see there is a, suppose we are writing an IEEE paper, so you can write IEEE document class. So this is the format. Like somebody does not have idea about all those things, what you can do? So you simply write your English sentence and equation. Whatever format, put it in the chat, get your context. Put in the overlay. There is an overlay, okay, which is a open source access LaTeX editing access tool where you can put your code, okay, LaTeX code without knowing anything about that. So it will compile your code and give you the result. Okay, so these things can be directly done. So either on offline basis using any LaTeX editor or online basis direct overlay. So people start LaTeX initially, this will go for direct overlay. So overlay will allow you to compile the LaTeX code directly. So this I will show you one by one. Now there are two ways to write your paper or any journal, whatever thesis. So you can see input. So you have multiple sections in your paper. What are the sections? Abstract, introduction, related work, methodology, experiment, conclusion. So that should be different sections. So what to do? For each section you make one text page, LaTeX file. Okay? And your format in your overlay, first and last also remain same. You put one code on one. There will be a main file where you should write this. This is your main file. Input variable, begin document, end document. Within that, you input all the files. You see. First one, abstract, introduction, I'll show you related work, methodology. Then we will have the reference. Now you see, abstract total is shown. Yes. So this is one example. Like there are inline equation and with equation number. Sometimes what we read, you see, classification probability P y conditional x is completed. Then you need to write. So whatever mathematical, say this is important. Suppose we are using symbol w and x here. So when you write in LaTeX, this will be in a mathematical symbol. Yes or no? So when you write the same, like suppose w is used in an equation, by writing the sentence also write after w represents the weight or something you are writing. So that w and this w should match. Same symbol. If it is Italy, that is not in Italy, that means there is a mistake. You should not do that. So to avoid that, what will you do? Here you see. Simply by writing P, Y, even X, if you put these two signs, ampersand signs, this will make this mathematical without writing, without giving an equation of. This is an inline equation. And if I write this, begin equation and equation, it will give me an equation number. So here you see, if I simply comment this begin and land level only the dollar, this will still look like what this will come here. Integrated potentially, like suppose this equation, begin equation, the actual equation and equation. All these things are like right. Only we can write these two symbols starting and ending. Okay, so how it will look like? It will come here. Without giving any if you cannot give equation number, you cannot report equation 1 represents this. In equation 3, 4, 5, we have represented this. Sometimes we need to write for that. We need to write begin equation and equation. So this is for inline equation. This is for display equation. Okay. Now you see, this is an example of multi-line equation. So multi-line equation, you do not have to remember all those things. Now, I suggest you simply use ChatGPT to all this. Exploit the ChatGPT and Gemini, whatever AI tool to develop this. There is nothing absolutely no wrong. Why to spend or waste your time in writing lattice code? You write simple equation, give it to that, you will get the lattice code, put it in the overlay, open. You will get this. Okay? This is an equation for generating result. Okay? The matrix format. So again, you can see begin matrix and matrix original matrix formats. Okay? So double slash comes to next line and then so a comma, a point, all these things. Okay? Now there is algorithm. There are also packages for algorithm. You should not write algorithm just some step of lines. You should use some package which is there. After the result that this unique latex is justified. Okay? So you can write within a time, within that you have algorithm. You can write this equation very easily within latex. Now placing your figures. Sometimes we wonder about how to place the figures in different places. So you can use these placement spaces, P for top, B for bottom, H for here, and avoid posting hard placements like H unless required. Now these are the placement handles you can use for placing your figure. I will show you one more example. This is example of handling some figures. So two figures in a given figure. So first begin figure, you see, begin figure and figure within that, again two figures, center it within some figure and some figure, within some figure and some figure. So attached to it, like within a bit I need to place two figures. So what I will write? 0.45 slash h3. You can type this kind at this level. So 0.45 slash h3 means total text width. 45% of text width will be taken by size of the figure. If I make it 23, it will again be smaller. If I want to keep three figures, 1, 3.3, 0.2. Okay? So in that way you can arrange your figure. And doing figure. Okay? Doing figure should be done. Figure should be created using different tools, using TikTok, drawing, or as latex also can be used independently to create figures. So if you want to use latex, you can again generate the code using TikTok or your chat. Okay, so you can use this figure using a TikTok tool like this figure. So by TikTok is a very good tool for giving vector graphic format. So vector graphic format is like whenever you expand this particular figure, it will not print. You can make it 1000 times bigger. It will remain as it is. That is the figure graphics. Normally when you zoom in, what will happen? After the threshold, it will break. So vector graphics, TikTok gives us vector graphics figure. So it will, even after your multiple zooming, remains as it is. So if the reader or anybody wants to zoom the figure, okay, and see the things clearly, you can do it very easily. Without just disturbing the figure. Okay? So vector graphics figure formats are PDF, SPS, SVG. So these formats already, if you know that in this format you can do that. PNG, if you use, that will break down. Okay? So, multi-column, multi-row, you can see this way you see. So figures are only these horizontal lines, no vertical lines. Okay, so this is a multi-row, multi-column figure. Then suppose you are creating a table, table is the bigger side. You can narrow that by using this scale box. Scale box 0.8 scales the table uniformly, and you can resize the next bit also. So to fit the table, text inside your table. There is a tile symbol. Tile symbol mostly used for cross referencing. So figure 1. So figure you write figure, tile symbol 1. That means it will give a proper gap between figure and number. If you do not give tile, figure and 1 will mix up. Okay, so to have better presentation, so these are very important. So this is for reflex of creating text citations. So you can, like suppose you have, like you have written a paper which has 50 references. Okay? In a second paper, you want those 50 plus 10 more. Okay? So what you do? You update this B file by adding 50 to 60. And updated B file you use them. So out of 60, like suppose you are using 30 will be references, 30 will be shown, rest 30 will be gone. In a word file, what you need to do? You need to copy those 50 again, then you have to add it. So in the web you go and you maintain only one file for your rest of the life. One file, whenever you require, you input that, okay, and file. Suppose out of 60 you require only 10, cite this 10, cite this 10. Whatever you say, that will copy the reference. It's very easy. This is very good way to refer your files or references without any hassle. So, citation, we need to say about the mistakes. Sometimes what happens, first letter should be capital, so it should be written in some capital letter or within a bracket. So that will help in searching. Okay? Incomplete metadata. Incomplete metadata means missing page number, UI complication here. So these are important. So these should be present in the your regular file. This is one of the example. So before submission, you need to see all those things. There should not be any question mark. Okay? There should not be vertical lines. There should not. There proper nouns should be preferred in the reserved references. Figures should be of good quality and abstract matches short lyrics. Okay? So this is all about the hands-on. Next, I have a task for you. Thank you. If you have any questions about all these things, you can ask me. And I have one more file. You can look into that file and do your exercise for the 10 minutes. Okay? Practice. Yes. You. Just right side corner. There you go. Look straight. Slow. Those are backward. So what you do, you take this file along with the latex file, the corrections are given. get the, okay? Any questions you have? Any questions? Okay, thank you for your attention.
So what was that recognized predatory job?
So you can should search what are the publication types, okay, and what is its editorial board, what is their application.
Recently I got a mail from actually recently I got a mail from Executive Journal that you published your article here. So I went to the journal site and I find that there is a long history of publication.
Now,
Long history of publication. I mean, there are 26 is long.
yes.
So my question is, recognize that if the journal is predatory or like
No, you can see on what indexes they are citing, like what is their index sheet.
the indexing is there in every set.
At least the Google Scholar indexing are not.
Google Scholar.
So FDP is Google Scholar index. Whatever is Google is random source, so it will search everything. Whatever is present. That's why to search for whether it's Scopus or SCA
It is LBDC.
may not be a good one. So you can see the publication timeline, how much time it takes for publication. So that is written. That is written in the paper.
Publication time they are written by 1 month.
1 month. So 1 month might not be a good one. Okay. So maybe publishing may not be a good publication. Okay. If you are searching for good publication, it is not successful.
So they take time.
1 month I know that there are some high quality publications which take submission of only 3 or 4 pages, like letters. They keep their decision in 1 month. Decision, not publication. Decision is 1 month. Because when you submit, the editor will see screen, they will send to the sub-editor, they will send to the reviewer take time into the decision, so that cannot be completed in 1 month.
As a researcher, I want to ask you one more question.
Yes.
Actually, some publishers are there, they are asking for money and they say that they will publish a paper.
Now, see, I'm telling you.
Some private publications are there. If they are asking money to publish a paper, what exactly you mean by that?
See, I told there are 2 ways to publish the paper. One is subscription mode, one is open access. So all open access journals, there are good quality publishers who do open access. They can spend money to make your paper open access because it is for requirement of publication. Okay, so you will make your paper visible to all the researchers in the world.
There is open access.
That is open access. Subscription mode, you don't have to pay money. But those who wants to see the paper, they have to pay money.
They have to buy the
If some publisher is asking money to make it for open access, it can be understood. It is only for the publication is not open access, only asking for money for publication is not good. My suggestion you should not go.
So the journal in Scopus index, I mean the journal is Scopus index. It is very important to I think.
Self judgment should go.
They are asking money. Is it a good journal or kind of bad?
But for what they are asking?
It's open access.
Open access is understood. everybody who wants to publish has to bring the publish. No, that is
Actually, if we are publishing papers in some journal,
but we can do so. Sometimes what happens, some of the organizations, they do not accept this kind of publications. Some of the organizations, like some of you are applying somewhere, just for research credential, they may not accept. That is not guaranteed. Up to the organization whether they will accept it or not.
only one question.
Yes.
Last question. Actually, as a scholar, should I concentrate on multidisciplinary journal or should I concentrate on single disciplinary journal?
No, see, that depends on your work actually. If your work is incremental, so you should go for multidisciplinary because there are larger scope for organization. Here, in single disciplinary scope is limited. If your work doesn't fit into that scope, then not they are going to publish it. Okay, so you should for a incremental starting of the result, you should target multidisciplinary. So what you do, you just let you open this because latex is not there, it's not opening with not better. Open only. Only means record. Only record. And what can I say? Only These are the progress.
Yes, please. So what's the uniform?
Yes.
Inside. I wanted to as an experienced researcher and somebody who publishes very often, I'm saying because of how we were able to illustrate a lot of issues with regards to research and publication. So my question basically is, which of the journals would you advise me as an upcoming, researcher to publish in? Is this the subscription one or the open access one?
See, that depends on if we have money to spend for publication, we can definitely go for open access because it will give you more visibility and because you are starting your research, you want your citations, your papers should be read by others. So it can be done very well by this open access. Even if you cannot spend, subscription mode also allows most of the important organizations like where all papers are visible, almost all. So there, we do not have to worry about the subscription mode. We can download, we can verify all those things from our website because it should be subscribed there. So if you are a beginner alone trying to do research, then you can go for open access. But if you are associated with the organization and your organization is giving all those facilities, you should go for subscription. Understood? If you are individually working as a researcher trying to publish, you can go for. If you have money, you can go for open access.
And either publishing articles was not criteria or a criterion for completing your PhD, journey. But now it has become
Yes.
a criteria.
Yes.
And so, one major conundrum for PhD students like us is the money you have to pay by way of article publication charges.
No.
So,
See, if you are doing good research, I don't have to worry about this publication charge. I will go for subscription mode. I will worry about the open access. So there, because I want to publish for my PhD. So I don't want my paper research should be accepted by all and everybody else to go for my citation. It's not required. If I am doing a good research since 15 years back, 20 years back, now I come to a position that where I want that my citations should be increased, then if I can spend money, I can go for open access. But you people should go for subscription.
thank you, sir.
Now, so it is downloaded. So you can see here. That's it. You see, so what I did, all of you take this file, okay? So all of you take this file and compile it, you will get this PDF, okay? So where you see, mathematical actually one by one stage. So mathematical equation, loss functions, task is fixed the inclined property, complete the display equation. So here you see, first one, abstract is written, section 1, so it is inline equation is written, the overall loss, the overall, here. This right side the central difference, it is loss equation, you see. This equation has to be the overall loss and total with the weighted sum. So you will fix what you need to do. You uncomment that is the lattice code. Here, this is given commented. You uncomment, get the code. So your equation will be aligned. Okay? Then similarly, tables. And so one by one you go doing one So what you do, you see, table I not written. This is here. So formatting improve table. I not written anything. You just I written the format. You can include these things here to get a complete table. So now I commented this to get rid of the vertical lines. Here, caption, centering and written level, begin tabular, top row is there. This is only top row is given. Okay? Then within end tabular, we write all these things. Method, auxiliary, seating, those only whatever table you want, you can execute. You can therefore this exercise yourself. Similarly, figure. Figure you see sub-figure. Sub-figure, centering, begin sub-figure, begin figure, centering, whatever is shown. Okay? Then sub-figure, complete this block. Then cross-figure. So here, whatever is not instructed here, improved book table will come here. You try to get this table here. Then sub-figures, then you use some figures here, any figure for the exercise, then we test. So I want that all this should run this file and include figures, sub-figures and tables. All of you can do this exercise. Okay.
So thank you so much. It was really a great process and I really enjoyed that. I hope all the persons present here might enjoy that. Now, with all due respect, I request the principals and professor of Public Kumar to present our certificate of honor to our guests. Please. And I also request the HOD of Management, Professor Dr. Umesh Ramani to please. So we'll have a break now. Everybody is requested to move the canteen for the lunch. We will be adjourning here exactly 2 p.m. Please. 1:45, please.